You want to do an opening statement?
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, thank you for being here today. I want to start off by thanking all the fans that were there in person in Columbus this past weekend, because they were incredible. Tremendous boost. We felt their energy. Really thank them being out there, their belief, their support, also around the entire country. We felt it. We felt it. Everyone back here in Eugene, the state of Oregon, even got all kinds of messages from places in New York City, just really supporting the Ducks. So really thankful for that. And then again, really appreciative of our players going out there with a tremendous amount of energy and focus and making our practice preparation a game reality, and how they just kept coming and coming and coming until we got the result that we wanted in a 1-0 process. And it's a really hard fought game. Credit to Ohio State, as mentioned before. And then with practice yesterday, tended to a couple of injuries. Obviously, you guys saw Cam McCormick was injured. Cam did sustain a good, pretty significant leg injury, and he'll be out for the season. It's his other leg. So aside from that, a bunch of guys nicked up, but football stuff happens. So, but with that being said, questions.
Let's open it up to Zachary Neal, Ducks Wire.
Coach, Chris Hudson continued to get a ton of reps on Saturday. Is it fair to say that at this point he's surpassed Troy Franklin on the depth chart?
Well, he entered the game as a starter. I think those two will be battling back and forth. I think Chris took tremendous advantage of the opportunity he was given when Troy was nicked up going into week 1, and he hasn't looked back. And that's a really, really strong battle going on right there. Played well, played hard. He gives every ounce he has in the run game as well, throws his body around, was on point mentally. His route running was real good. And he's hungry. He's hungry for more. So those guys will keep battling for playing time, but they both get plenty of snaps. They may have gotten almost, I'd say maybe 60 to 40% of the snaps.
Sean McPherson, KWVA.
Coach, a player that really stood out in that game was DJ Johnson, obviously with a huge first down catch and then the game-winning sack as well. How special is that in your eyes to be able to play on both sides of the ball and impact the game on both sides of the ball the way he did?
Tremendous impact, completely unselfish player. You have to invest a lot of time to be able to do that during the course of a game. It's easy to talk about being a two-way player, but being a two-way player is one of the most challenging things you could do as a football player. And I don't think his blocking got enough credit. If you see him on some of the other plays where he didn't get the ball or where he didn't make a sack, the guy was throwing his body around, being really physical at the point of attack, on the backside of split zone, front side of it. Protections as well. He really played an excellent game, and he's another guy. He just kept coming and coming and coming. So really appreciative of him. He was one of the players of the game for us.
Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
Coach, Justin and Kayvon make the trip but don't play. Was it a chance either of them could have played on Saturday? And what are you thinking about this weekend? And Mace Funa, we haven't asked about her, heard an update on him. I don't think he returned on Saturday.
Yeah, Justin, we found out midweek that he wasn't going to be able to, but there's really no advantage in giving out information like that. And we respect the privacy of our football players, and in the building is always confidentiality with that medical stuff. With Kayvon, he's getting better and better. You just don't know. Those things they're a little bit tricky. We thought there might have been a chance, but felt that it just wasn't quite time yet. Mace and a bunch of other guys, they got nicked up, they got dinged up pretty good, but confident that Mace is good to go and will be okay.
AJ Jacobson, Rivals.
Coach, I was wondering, now you've had a chance to take a look at the film. Were there any standout performances that you saw on film that maybe you didn't see game day?
Yeah, there's guys that I think are really worth mentioning. I'll start with the offense. Two guys that really stood out with physicality and consistency and performance: Alex Forsythe, TJ Bass. Those guys just played with great pad level, great technique, were physical all day. To rush for that many yards against a defense like that on the road with all that noise, outstanding. Just a great job by those guys. Johnny Johnson, can't say enough about his blocking. There's one play in the game, he's got a 20-yard drive block. That's like a dream come true for an offensive lineman. So offensive linemen are jealous of Johnny today. He had the better block of all of them. Travis Dye, I know CJ got the bulk of the carries, but Travis, he had 43 yards. He had the catch. He had the touchdown, ran physical as well. I can't say enough about his blocking also in the passing game. I don't know if you noticed watching the game, but the pocket was a lot more comfortable for the quarterback. It was a lot bigger and wider. There's a lot less penetration. So tremendous improvement in that area. On defense, guys that really stood out, Braden Swinson, who really played his tail off, a guy that was relentless in his pass rush. Even though he didn't always get there, he did affect the quarterback. In the run game, did a really good job with his hands and striking blockers, getting off blocks, playing the C area, taking on tight ends and folding that run back. Keon Ware-Hudson really played well. He's credited with 3 tackles. Can't tell you how many times his block destruction showed up on tape, where he's playing with great lap pad level, knocking the line of scrimmage back. Did an excellent job. Nate Hukalani, who played, how many snaps did he play? Played 59 snaps and was on point where he needed to be. Forced quarterback once out where they end up trying to the 4th down play deep in our red zone, and where Adrian Jackson then pressured the quarterback and he had to get rid of the ball. I thought he really stood out. And then Karsten Battles and Suave, they presented some challenges to our punt protection, and Suave did a great job checking us into a formation which we could take on that interior overload rush. Karsten Battles, our punt coverage was outstanding, and he's a big reason why. Not many snappers get down there and cover the field. He certainly did. So those are some guys worth mentioning.
James Capilla, the Oregonian.
Mario, Joe used a lot of unbalanced formation with a lot of success. AB had the 18-yard run out of it before CJ's touchdown. You had the run by Travis that ended up being for 30 yards because of the face mask, and it came through on the final play also. Well, the conversion to DJ. How can you speak to just the challenge that poses to a defense, because Joe's also done other things with covered receivers previously, and also the important, you mentioned Chris on that play, for him to stay exactly 3 yards and execute at that level in that moment. How critical was that for a young receiver to make that block?
Yeah, well, unbalanced formations, the formations you use are predicated or dictated by what people play to them. We felt that we saw something formationally. They're a post safety operation, that there were some things there that if you block it effectively, like anything else, it works. If you don't block it effectively, but it wasn't like it was a massive formational advantage. You still have to gain leverage by your hat position, your hand placement. But the use of it certainly was effective for us, both in run and pass. And the fact that we were able to keep pretty decent balance with both of those, with the quarterback run game as well, some of the tight end dump passes, and then some of the work to the field as well to our wide receivers was really helpful. I think your second question was what, James?
That on the out of that formation on the conversion to DJ at the end, that in previous attempts, the 2 outside receivers, including the covered receiver, block further downfield, but you're running. But Chris stays exactly 3 yards on the pass in order not to be called ineligible downfield.
Sure.
Just how critical was it for him to execute in that spot?
Yeah, well, that was the whole bit. Physicality is important and urgency is important, and playing with resiliency is important, but at the same time, you have to have game execution. And we knew that was going to be a big part of it. The focus was there and the execution followed. So obviously very, very critical.
Matt Preem, 247 Sports.
Yeah, Mario, can you maybe put into context just how effective that RPO game was? I don't know if you track anything of that nature, but it just seemed like that was pretty significant for your offense, being able to move the ball in the ways it went in attacking. And then follow up on Flo. Is he available later on in the season? Do you feel like he'll play, or is it a season-ending injury?
Well, I wish I could say on Flo what it's going to be. It's a pretty significant injury, so we don't know. Always hopeful, but it seems to be a little bit longer term than anything else. From an RPO, I think from an RPO standpoint, maybe even more important than that was first down efficiency. If you break it down truly by the law of averages, I believe we were almost at 5 yards a clip on first down. That keeps you on schedule. So it helps the RPO game. The RPO game, obviously, you want to create conflict, right? If you run 5, 6, or 7-man blocking scheme RPOs, they all put some different defender in conflict. And the combination of the unbalanced formations, some of the loaded sets and 12 personnel, the snug sets, which force you to open up and soften your coverage some, and sometimes bring corner, but they brought more corner fire than, maybe we had thought they would. And that was effective for them. That was our one negative play, was the backside of wide zone RPO was run down because the 3 technique beat the tack or beat the backside guard inside. But I think the combination of all those things and being able to stay on schedule on first down was really effective and allowed our offense to really open up, allowed Coach Moorhead to call a really, a great game plan, a great game.
Max Torres, Ducks Digest.
Coach, definitely a big win for you guys. How do you make sure that your team stays on their P's and Q's and carries that momentum forward?
Well, I think when you watch the film, even though we're really fired up about coming back 1-0 against the number 3 team in the country, we get it. Tough place to play. Been a huge goal. I know everyone was looking forward to that game for a long time, our fan base and everybody else. When we watch tape, there's a lot of stuff to correct. It's all over the place. And the bottom line, what's not good enough in defeat certainly cannot be good enough in victory as well. There's a ton. And, to us, it's like, all right, our approach to our week, our approach to our rests, our nutritional habits, our training habits, the way we practice, the way we approach this week will really determine if our trajectory points to us being a great football team or just being a good football team. Because it's real early in the season and there's a lot of stuff that needs to be corrected and a lot of things that we got to get better at. And the way we do things in our process, there's more than enough validation there to say that, hey, this thing works and we do things a certain way, and that we got to get right back to work, because there are a lot of good teams. We do have a significant amount of guys banged up, and guys got to play. And guys have shown that going on the road in a tough place that had to step up for the first time, that you can get it done as long as you invest your entire existence into it. I think all those things point towards, we got to be more invested. We got to do things at a higher level. There's just no going back to any other way. We run a very tight, regimented process, and we believe in it, and it works for us. And there's no reason to stray from it. So we have exceptional team leadership. It has shown early, and those guys are ready to crank it up. Those guys were texting and, telling each other, right, hey, back to work, want to know. We were at practice yesterday. A lot of sore bodies out there. That's a physical football game. And those words kept coming out. So now we got to show it, right? We got a chance to be in front of our fans again. Last time we were hot and cold in our opener, right, in front of our fans. We want to play well in front of our people. We know it's important to our community. We know it's important to our fan base. And it's sure as heck is important to us to play good football and keep improving, because there's no in between. Like Coach Johnson used to tell us all the time when I was a player, you're going to get better or you're going to get worse. There is no staying the same. So the choice is, there is no choice. We've got to go get better.
Zach Neal, Ducks Wire.
Coach, someone you didn't mention earlier was Bennett Williams, who had another really good performance for you guys. What has his growth as a player really meant for your team, your defense, your secondary this year?
Yeah, I didn't mention Bennett because I thought you guys got the players of the game already. He was one of them. So Bennett Williams, DJ James, Verone McKinley, Brandon Dorless, and Noah Sewell were all players of the game on defense. So if they weren't mentioned, that's my fault for assuming. Those guys played outstanding football games. On offense, it was CJ Verdell, Anthony Brown, and Ryan Walk. Those guys were players of the game. On special teams, it was Cam Lewis, Brian Addison, and Johnny Johnson. So actually, the other guys I mentioned were guys that were just shy of the players of the game because we had to cut it off at a certain point, but guys that deserve special mention because they played at a high level. Bennett has been playing great football. Physicality, you see him tackle in space now. What he has done, the way he's improved, his ability to close on ball carriers, his man-to-man coverage skills and technique, his speed, his overall physicality. The guy's taken a massive step. And he's been a tremendous force on our defense. Really proud of him. I think he's another guy that's just scratching the surface. I'm going to stay on Bennett because I think there's a lot more in the tank there, but really proud of him and everything he's done.
Alvaro Torres, end zoners.
Hi, Coach Cristobal. How are you? Well, my question is, what are you hoping to see this Saturday on your last non-conference game? And are these kind of games valued more after not having them last season?
Well, we're looking for improvement is what we're looking for. We certainly want to see us grow more as a team with guys being a little bit nicked up and, not sure exactly what the injury report looks like at the end of the week. We want to see guys that step into more prominent roles, perform at a high level, at a championship level. And it's important to us, but I think that's the most important thing, to see consistent improvement by our football team in all areas. Certainly we'd like to do nothing but keep taking steps forward. I guess is the best way to say it.
Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
Coach, how many days did DJ have practicing defense? Did he get any days doing that? And then another player, Jeffrey Boss, I think played some linebacker. He'd been the safety nickel kind of guy. How much time had he had there?
Well, number one, I got to mention that too. I'm glad you bring that up. Thank you. Jeff Bossa, he's a safety for us, and he's a size speed guy. Guy runs 10.7, 10.600 meters. Hope I'm not offending him. He might be a little bit faster, but he's 220 pounds, really just an excellent size, speed athlete specimen. And he, when asked, it's like, hey man, we're a little bit low on numbers here. You're doing a great job on special teams. We really need help at linebacker. And a lot of it is similar to the boundary safety stuff. Would you mind, giving this a try? And then when the time is right and we have more depth, we can go back to safety. And he jumped all over it. He's been studying it night and day, and he had a good week. Towards the end of the week, he was really getting it. I think he played a couple snaps in the game. I'm not sure exactly the play count, but he's really getting it. He's a really good football player. He got the full week. DJ got third down work with the defense this past week, both Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, loaded days, right, with gear. And then Thursday, Friday, more of the walkthrough and the Fast Friday stuff. So we prepped them for their opportunities. Certainly, I know DJ's really stood out because it was a final play of the game. But as you know, DJ has a defensive background. That's what he's played before. So it showed up on that last play. Brandon Dorless, really, I don't know if you saw Brandon Buckner as well, just about forced a holding called. A lot of guys that, that really popped when it really came down to it. So big play.
Jared Denny on 3.
Hey, Mario, with Keith Brown making his college debut in such a tough environment, I'm just wondering what you made of his performance.
Yeah.
And was that just a cramp he left with at the end?
Yeah, it was a cramp. He might have like a minor strain, but nothing of a large magnitude. He played well and physical and downhill, and it showed in camp. When he first got here in January, schematically and terminology, that's a lot for a freshman. And then by the end of spring, you're like, okay, he's starting to get it. The middle of camp, you saw a guy that was really hitting it. Linebackers are like running backs. You could always train an offensive lineman. You could train a guy to block. Linebackers, particularly middle linebackers and running backs, they have to be natural. They have to have instincts. They have to have a feel for the game where they know how to, trigger and go make a play. And Keith has that. And Keith made a couple really impressive physical plays. And when he was blocked, he really fought hard to get off of blocks and run to the football. Did a really nice job. So we expect big things out of Keith Brown.
Last question, James Crapia, the Oregonian.
Mario, they hit you a couple times, like you mentioned, in tempo, but also at a 12 personnel until they had the false start that allowed you to make the sub there. I don't think Stony Brook will challenge you in quite the same way this week. So how do you try to go about making corrections to those things, particularly tempo, when it's been an issue the past 2 weeks? I guess in practice this week and really over the next 2 weeks before you get back to conference play.
Oh yeah, they caught us. And we don't need to be doing any. When they're going tempo, your defensive calls have to match the tempo, and you can't match it with a wristband. That's a mistake by us. That we'll fix and move forward on. And you see it coming, and you have enough time to get it communicated. We just got to do a better job as a staff, all of us, to make sure that we get a play in quickly, something that's very simple to understand, not a dissertation, like sound bites, right? Get those things in. Everyone sees it, communicate, line up and go, because we gave up a couple shots to tempo.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Okay, guys. Appreciate you guys. Have a great day. Go Ducks.